We're gonna improve our evaporator this year. Instead of the small wood stove, I've got this barrel stove. It was gifted to me from my neighbor. What we're gonna do is make a cut that way, and down the middle. Then what we'll do is we'll fold these open and then bend them over on themselves so there's less sharp edges at the correct height so that our pan will fit sideways across here. We should be able to put 2 pans on this stove. So then we're going to figure out how high our pan will sit on this. We'll mark that and fold it over on itself. This also has paint on the inside, so I've read that we definitely want to do a nice hot burn and remove all of that if possible. So we just burned a hot fire on this barrel. As you can see, most of the green is off the outside and most of the just beige is off the inside. What I found is that these ribs, when we fold it over on itself, actually is kind of obstructive. They stick out too far. So, hot tip, cut these this way so that I can get a good fold. And then I'm going to cut these this way along the edge of the rib as well. And then I will be able to pinch those down and kind of get those out of the way once we fold it in on itself. One thing that I've noticed is these barrels get pretty heavy once we start lining them with brick and putting sand in them. So I'm going to redneck up some wheels to go along the bottom. Hopefully this will make it easier to move. Cool. Alright, balance that out. We're going to figure out how tall this needs to be. Now we've got wheels on the back and a spacer post on the front. Try to keep it level. You just pick it up and wheel it around. Perfect. So here's one of our designs. We've got some sort of a steel grate. It's made for going over top of a campfire. In there is our fire grate. There's enough room underneath there for air to circulate. Got fire bricks on the outside, a cinder block on the back wall that should force everything towards the top and ventilate. This one we need more fire brick, but it's going to have fire brick on both sides. It's got a Amazon purchased fire grate, and currently fire grate goes all the way to the back. There's no room for a fire block there. We've got rolling boils in the back, warming pan in the front, 2 barrels going here. So the wheels didn't melt off. That was my first question. With the fire brick on the outside of the barrel, there was a noticeable difference between where the fire brick lining had stopped. It was much hotter without the fire brick, and then underneath it was fine. The tires I thought might have been in a spot where it could melt, but they really had no effect at all. The other thing was the cinder block in the back of the barrel. The first boil we used 1 barrel with,
that extra cinder block and one barrel without, there is a noticeable difference. The other thing that I would change for next year is the placement of that cinder block in the back of the firebox. When the heat comes through the firebox and hits the face of your cinder block here, it actually pushes that up, is what it seems to do. And the face of the cinder block was almost in line with our chimney, so the heat would come, hit the face, and kind of roll right past the back corner of my boiling pan into the chimney. If we were able to put 2 cinder blocks in there, or maybe even just push it forward so that the face of the cinder block is directly underneath the boiling pan, I believe that that would be much more efficient. It's going to hit that front of the face of the cinder block and direct that heat into the center of your boiling pan instead of going up through your chimney. A few people online were concerned with scorching on the side of the pan because there is exposure where the heat can get to the side of the pan. There was plenty of soot that built up there, but really didn't notice much for scorching. Next year though, I think we're going to work on getting a flat surface where the pan will sit directly on and it'll be completely sealed, so there won't be any heat that escapes around the side of the pan. None of the fire will touch the side of the pan, and that will also alleviate the worry of scorching the sides. Another helpful tip is to have plenty of dry wood. Make sure that it's going to burn very hot. Cut it into smaller pieces if it's not boiling fast enough. We also had a scrap bin with pallets, things like that we could throw in there and mix with some of our regular wood. Airflow is a factor as well. We found that there's kind of a balance between the amount of air that you're putting in to burn the fire hotter, and some of that air would actually carry the heat through the stove and right up the chimney pipe, so you're not actually keeping that heat directly on the pan. So there's a little bit of tweaking there. You have to have a good balance of oxygen for your fire to burn, but not so much air movement that you're losing your heat.